back to my channel. My name is Megan if you are new here, and if you're returning for another video, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you are new here, on this channel we talk about all things from happiness, healing, to veganism, which in my opinion does help lead to a happier and healthier lifestyle. So on this video, drum roll please, we are doing something that I think is just so funny. One of my favorite YouTuber, or vegan YouTubers I should say, we call him the vegan god, Earthling Ed, he responds to all the vegan hate comments that he gets all the time. And I've gotten quite a few of hate comments, but not even necessarily hate comments is what I want to go over today, because I don't feel like giving all that energy. But I do want to go through some of the most common rebuttals that we tend to get as vegans and kind of just debunk them and how they do not make sense. So that way people who are interested in veganism don't see those things and think that that's reality, because it's not and it doesn't add up. So let's go ahead and get into that. All right, so number one, which is my favorite one that everybody loves to say, is, well, lions eat meat. It's a lion. Of course they eat meat, okay? This argument is so funny to me because, for one, we are not lions. So that's a little bit weird to me that people love to compare that. But generally speaking, people love to say, oh, well, lions, wolves, bears, and compare us to these like massive beasts whose literal diet is carnivore. Like, they are literally meant to eat meat. And no, they cannot function on a non-meat diet. That's just not reality for them, in their kingdom, in their world, as animals. But we are human beings who do not need meat to survive. So yes, meat for some people is a delectable, it's a luxury, it's a good thing we have. I personally never really cared for meat, but I do know a lot of other vegans who really loved it, and they had a hard time giving it up because they genuinely loved meat. But the reality is, as a human being, we do not need meat to survive. Therefore, eating meat is something that we do out of fun, out of taste buds, out of interest, out of something we just like, but it's not necessary. So we could say the same thing for a lot of things that have happened in history and even in today's society. Is it okay to murder? Because some people enjoy that. Is it okay to eat humans? Because some people enjoy that. Is it okay to rob? Because some people enjoy that. Is it okay to rape? Because some people enjoy that. So inserting your dominance and inserting just because you can, just because you want to, does not necessarily always make something right. Most of the time it absolutely does not make it right. So we can go back and say, it's not the same thing for meat. It is not a necessary thing that we have to do or that we have to have in our lives to live. So therefore, it becomes a might over right. Is just because we are mighty doesn't make it righty. Just because we have might doesn't make it right to do that. Because again, we can go back to so many other examples. Just because a person is bigger than somebody doesn't make it right to harm them. Just because somebody is stronger than somebody doesn't make it right to take and insert their dominance. Absolutely not. So that argument makes absolutely no sense. Also, if we're comparing ourselves to lions, bears, things like that, they rape each other. They murder each other. Does that make it right? No, it doesn't. And if you think it does, then please click out of my video and unfollow me and reconsider your life, because those things are not right. So we cannot sit here and compare ourselves to the animal kingdom when we are total opposite beings, total opposite things that do not have to and should not operate in the same aspect in any way, shape, or form. Piggybacking off of this, I guess, or just part of this argument, is it would be different if we did not have foods that were also just as nutritional and just as good for us, if not better, than meat. But we do, okay? We have fruits and vegetables and grain and soy and beans and all these things that are so good for us, high protein, high nutritional value, and they're good for us. And not only can we survive, but we can thrive on that diet. So therefore, eating something just because it tastes good does not make sense. And that's for why a lot of vegans, it's a moral thing, because yeah, they did probably enjoy meat, but they also understand that might does not equal right. And just because we might like something doesn't mean that we should do it. We're still harming something. We're still harming our planet, other people, and obviously animals by eating meat. Okay, so we're gonna go into number two, which is another one of my favorite arguments, is, but we have canines. Let me just, I'm breaking out, but I don't think that's a lion's canine. So I'll insert lion. Do you have that tooth? No, you don't. So that argument is also crazy to me, because I love to tell people, then go jump on a cow right now and only using your hands, because that's all the animals use, is their actual tools that they're built with, their mighty claws and their actual teeth that is meant for devouring meat. So go on, I want you to go jump on a cow, go jump on a chicken, go jump on a turkey, go jump on a pig, and kill it using only your mouth and your hands. And then on top of that, I want you to also eat that animal raw. Don't cook it, because we're not going to do that. I want you to only eat it raw. You're not going to do that. We are not designed like animals. You cannot jump on top of an animal and eat it raw and kill it, and you just can't do it. It doesn't make sense. So again, that comparison of, oh, we have these teeth, it's not the same at all. Okay, number 3, another one that I get is, this is a really common one that's been more so recently risen, is that eating meat is like a first world luxury, right? It's a luxury, or it's something that privileged folk get to do. And unfortunately, at this time, in some cases, that is possibly true, because we do have more resources and more money to produce things like fake meats and all these other foods that are really, really good for us. But if you've watched any of my videos, the animal agriculture is a major, 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 major factor in starvation. So here's the deal. If you have not watched these videos, go back and watch them, please. But I will quickly explain this situation. If animal agriculture was not destroying our planet, we would also be able to end world starvation. End world starvation. Every single child, parent, grandparent, every person who is struggling and cannot eat right now would be able to eat if we put an end to animal agriculture. Why is that, Megan? Because animal agriculture costs more and spends more of our resources as far as grains, as vegetables, as far as even water, than the actual things that we could grow to feed people. We are feeding livestock that is not even enough to turn around and feed the entire planet. But if we stopped feeding that livestock all of the resources that we would be able to not only double but triple that and end world starvation. So unfortunately, yes, right now it probably is a luxury in some places, but if we reversed that and we stopped animal agriculture, we would genuinely be able to feed the entire world. And it would no longer be a first world luxury or a privileged luxury. It would be something that everybody had accessibility to. Number 4, excuse or rebuttal that I always get is, but it's so expensive. I can't afford vegan food. Okay, the reality is that yes, some vegan foods are pretty pricey in comparison, but those are normally like fake meats, the ones that are like $6 a pack because it's fake meat. It's something that somebody had to create. Or the preservative foods, which are actually a lot like the same prices of those non-vegan options. Yes, some of the fake cheeses are also, okay, I'm not gonna lie, the fake cheese is expensive. But this is where learning how to cook and making things into your own version, into your own recipe, and it's gonna be healthier anyway, comes into play. So that's my first answer to that, is you just have to learn to make things from scratch. We've learned how to make vegan cheese. We've learned how to make macaroni so we don't have to buy it. We've learned how to make chicken nuggets so we don't have to buy it. We just make it from scratch. And that is part of the steps of becoming vegan, because a lot of people just start with the Morningstar and the Gardein brands, which is great. Learn to love it, figure it out, and then from there you go to continue and make your own food, and it becomes a lot cheaper. Second part of that argument is that we are supposed to be eating fruits, vegetables, grains, beans, things like that anyway. You're not supposed to be eating tons and tons and tons of preservatives like the Morningstar and the Gardein, because it's not necessarily good for you the same way that non-vegan preservative food is not good for you. So again, those are great bridge foods to kind of get you where you're going, but then once you get into the rhythm of the things and you kind of start to figuring out how to do it yourself, then it becomes better for you, and it becomes less expensive. And then my third part to that argument is, yeah, some foods can be a little bit more costly short term, but long term, that food is going to save you so much on medical bills from cholesterol, heartburn, diabetes, cancers, all the things that are in non-vegan products. So I'd rather spend a little bit more money here and be healthy and be able to breathe and be alive and be not bedridden with my child and my grandchildren when the future comes, than having to spend all this extra money on medical bills anyway and being unhealthy and not being able to do those things. So it's really how you look at it. Yes, it can be expensive. Learn how to cook, do it yourself, but also it saves you so much money in the long run. Number 4, I just don't know how to vegan. That's a fair thing, which is why I've been putting out more content like this. And surprisingly, when I first started putting this content out, I lost followers. That's not surprisingly. I lost followers. People didn't care. People were telling me to shut the heck up. But the surprising part of that was that it's actually gotten more traction and people are paying attention. People are asking questions. People are buying more food. People really want to know. And so, yes, it is a little hard to learn. Obviously, most people know you don't do meat, you don't do dairy, but people don't realize that means no eggs, that means no butter, that means you got to watch out for things like gelatin and all those other crazy words that people don't tend to really know off jump. And I really think I want to do another video about that, like words to look out for on a label other than dairy and eggs to know that it's non-vegan. So if you'd like that, definitely let me know. But learning how to vegan is super simple because we do have so many resources now, such as YouTube, where you can find your favorite vegan person and just follow them, because it really, really can teach you a lot. A lot of people talk about things like this. They'll talk about recipes. They'll give you life advice, self-care advice, all these great things. So really find a YouTuber that you can resonate with and kind of keep up with them. We have Google at the tip of our fingers. So this is so easy now for different ingredients, for different recipes, for what you can and cannot do. And on top of that, it's becoming so much more in demand because more and more people are making this change, which yay, that we are having more resources. So yeah, you might not necessarily know how, but there's, I'm trying to think, there's a vegan option, at least one option at most restaurants now. So if you're going out, you're hanging out with friends and family, there are vegan options. There's a lot of vegan options in Walmarts, in Giants, in Targets, in Whole Foods, in Harris Teeter, and Aldi's, in all of these places, because again, there's such high demand. So even if you don't necessarily exactly know what to do, if you're going in trying to make something from scratch, either look up a recipe or go try to find that vegan version of it that's already on the grocery store, get yourself to like the taste, and then go from there. Number 5, and this is just a cruel one, is that people just don't give a damn about animals. And that one's really hard to rebuttal, because if you just don't give a damn about animals, then what can I tell you that's going to convince you otherwise? First of all, I will say that I'm sorry that you feel that way, because animals, especially livestock animals, the chickens, the pigs, the cows, the turkeys, everything that you eat, every living being that you eat, can go through emotions. They can feel pain. They feel exhaustion. They feel depression and being scared and being mad and confused and upset. They have emotions. So I would really hope that someone would spare you if you're going through those emotions, and that they would actually care about you if you're ever feeling those things. And that's kind of where that moral compass comes in, to really just care. And on top of that, it's a lot of these people who make that comment, that claim that they're animal lovers and they have dogs and cats and all these animals and they just love them. Can you really be an animal lover if you're turning around and eating other animals? Do you really deserve to have a dog or a cat or whatever that animal looks like? Do you deserve to be able to go to farms and pumpkin patches and pet these animals and ride the animals if you're going to turn around and eat them? The answer is no, you don't. And that's really upsetting, and that's really sad for somebody who claims to be an animal lover to eat animals. It's really makes no sense, and it doesn't add up. So that's the first part of that. The second part of that is that even if you don't necessarily give a damn about the animals, there is so many more effects that animal agriculture has on the planet than just animal abuse, including, again, a huge, massive impact on climate change or on world hunger. And on top of that, it's just better for your health. So yeah, you don't really need to care about animals, but what about those other aspects of the fact that it's better for you and it's better for your kids or your future grandkids, because they'll actually have a world that they can breathe in and that they can live in and they can thrive in if we put a stop to animal agriculture. If we don't do that, then they're not going to have that. They're not going to have a future that they can actually breathe in. They're not going to have a future that's going to be healthy. Matter of fact, they might not have a future at all. So it is so much deeper than just giving a damn about animals. So many people go vegan or at least plant-based, not because they give a damn about the animals, but because they care about themselves and the planet and the people around them. And for those people, I thank you regardless, because an animal is still not dying because of you. So no matter what your reasoning is, no matter what your why is, I'm very proud of you and thankful for you. Number 6 is, but our ancestors did it. Okay, first of all, our ancestors might have done it, but our ancestors also lived in caves, and they also did not have cars, and they also lived in mud pits, and they also killed each other, and they also died. Okay, our ancestors did a lot of things that we evolved from. It's called evolution, and we no longer do those things. We no longer live in those things. We no longer habitat those things or do not have those things. So we've changed. So we've learned. So we've progressed. So we do not need to do or act or continue the same things that our ancestors used to do. First of all, haven't you heard of learning from your past? Let's do that. Again, back then our ancestors did not know that they did not need meat to survive. Another one that I get all the time is, but plants feel things too, so why do you eat plants? First of all, there has been so many researches done, again, by highly reputable organizations such as Harvard, United Nations, and etc., that have studied, do plants feel feelings? Can they actually feel depression and sadness and pain and confusion and all this stuff that has been proven animals can? And the answer to that is absolutely not. What animals do, and this is where people love to get that, they'll throw this in there to try to sound smart or try to get us, I guess, is a lot of plants, a lot like a Venus flytrap, is reactive. So yes, they'll move if they're cut. Yes, they'll give off a scent if they're cut. Yes, if a fly flies in here, it's going to close. It is reactive. It's reflex. But it does not mean that they are feeling pain, anger, hurt, depression, confusion, all these things. And that's been proven. That has been researched over and over and over again, that they are not sentient beings the way that animals are sentient beings. So that's a really, really bad excuse. But I will also add a second part to this disagreement, or to this, my rebuttal to your rebuttal, is that if you truly, truly cared about plants, and this is an argument that you want to save the plants, the best thing that you could do is still go vegan. And the reason for that is we feed livestock or animals more of that than we eat. We feed them more plants than we eat. So by taking away and eliminating animal product and animal livestock, we would actually be eliminating the amount of plants that are not only being eaten, but knocked down for animal agriculture. You guys saw my video about how much of the environment in the Amazon alone is being destroyed due to animal agriculture. That's in the Amazon alone. Imagine the entirety of the world that's being destroyed because of animal agriculture. So if you really cared about the plants and you truly, truly wanted to save the plants, then go vegan, because you would still be eliminating less plants by being vegan than you are by being non-vegan. Another one, number 8. But I won't get protein or B12. Okay. I think I talked about this a little bit in the first one, but you will get protein, okay? I love this rebuttal because my rebuttal to your rebuttal is, where do you think that animal that you're eating got its protein from? Because it ate what we eat, and that's how it got its protein, okay? Yes, animals have a natural a percentage or amount of protein in their bodies, but they get a lot of that from the nutrients that they're eating, which is plants. We are meant to eat plants. And yes, vegans get plenty of protein. There is more protein in some vegetables than there is in some of the animal that you're eating. So I don't like that argument. And to go back to the B12 side of things, yes, B12 is a little bit harder to find as a vegan, or a little bit harder to get as a vegan, but there are vegan vitamins that you can get, first of all. And second of all, if you're already vegan, you already know what nutritional yeast is. That is our pixie dust, our magic in the vegan world. But if you're not, get yourself some nutritional yeast. I think I make macaroni at least twice a week because we use the nutritional yeast, about a cup of it, to make our macaroni. That has a high source of iron, of B12, protein, all these nutrients that you guys love to say we're not going to get. It's got it. I put that on my salads. I put that on my noodles. I put that obviously on macaroni. It's what creates this really cheesy taste. So it's almost like Parmesan cheese. So it's good, but it's also high in those nutrients. So I think it's really funny when people like to say things like that. But have you even researched? Like, do you even really understand where those types of things come from? Because its main source is not an animal. It was given to the animal to have you be able to eat that. Number 9. Ooh, this one's great because I get so many people who are farmers or who have worked on a farm who love to tell me, but we don't treat our animals this way. That didn't happen on our farm. First of all, let me put a disclaimer in here that I do believe there are people out there who raise their animals and their livestock, and they are kind to them and they love them, and that's awesome. However, that is not the case in every single situation. Unfortunately, a majority of where you're getting the animal that you're eating from comes from big farmers. It comes from large farming industries. And unfortunately, they do not care about that animal. They will not protect them. They do not love them, and they do not take care of them in any way, shape, or form. So your little family farm is great, and I appreciate you again if you're taking care of your animals, but we'll get into the other part of that in a second. But that's not the reality of every single farming industry in the entire world. Unfortunately, it is more aggressive, it is more painful, it is more careless, it's more depressing for the animals. So that argument doesn't really sit well with me, because you're not feeding a nation. You're not feeding the entire world. You're not doing that. You might be feeding 1 or 2 people by the time you unfortunately kill your animal. And that's if you're even treating the animals the way that you say you are. Because at the end of the day, unfortunately, a lot of those people are still taking the baby cows away from their moms, are still separating the piglets from their moms, are still, putting chickens in multiple boxes together. You guys are still doing those things. So unfortunately, it's really hard for people who are so hard in this activism world to believe that, because a lot of people, including myself, have gone to farms where they claim to be like that and will watch a farmer rip the cow away from its family. We'll see things that is happening to the animal that just reiterates exactly what we believed and thought in the first place. And on top of that, even if you are treating your animals amazingly, at the end of the day, you're still raising that animal to be eaten, which is completely unnecessary and the exact point that we're trying to raise. It's not necessary. You're still raising them to be eaten. So even if you treat them like gods, you are still killing them and sending them to a slaughterhouse at the end of the day. And it's not necessary. If it was an absolute necessity, we would talk about it. But because we do not need meat, we're not going to talk about it. It's just unnecessary. 10 is, but if you were stranded on a desert island and there was nothing to eat but a freaking cow, would you not kill it? First of all, no. Me personally, I would die before I ate an animal because I just wouldn't, I could not do it. So I would die. I don't know about other vegans out there, but I would die. So count me out. However, people love to give us these what ifs and these situational things that will probably never happen in our entire life. Okay, so that's the first part of the rebuttal. Secondly, how is this cow magically living? Can I not eat what the cow is eating? Like, stop giving us these crazy, insane situations. I saw some guy and he was like, oh, so you care about animals more than you care about humans. So if a 6-year-old child and a bear were both about to be shot, who would you pick? Like, these are hypothetical things that make no sense for you to ask because in hindsight, it will probably never happen. And again, a lot of people would obviously in that situation choose a 6-year-old child if it came down to that hypothetical, very rare situation. Most people would probably eat that cow if they were stranded on an island, but that's never going to happen. So why ask questions like that? It's so silly. Anyway, I think I'm going to wrap it up here at 10. I have so many more, so if y'all like this video, let me know because I can definitely do more because I get them all the time. I hear them all the time, and it's very common things that we hear or get asked or rebutted with. But these are some of my favorite. Yep, these are some of the favorite ones I've heard since I've started being more active in this veganism and since I've just started talking about it more and posting about it more. These are like really, y'all are on it, but again, doesn't really make sense, doesn't add up. So thank you. But next. Anyway, if you have not watched Earthling Ed and you are interested in being a vegan, please make sure you check him out. He is amazing. He is very calm. He doesn't get hyped like I kind of just did in this video, but he is super educated, super great into this world. He is 100% worth it, and I just genuinely love him. I hope you guys found this entertaining. I wasn't really trying to be mean, but I'm telling you guys, like, these are some funny, common things that we get all the time, and if you're considering veganism, you're going to hear them. So definitely get prepared for these things. And I hope that my little rebuttals help you be able to answer those questions or those theories or those hypotheticals that you're going to get thrown at you pretty much every day of your life. All right, guys, more than anything, you guys are so loved. You are so valued. I hear you. I see you. I love you guys. And I will talk to you next time.